this is a continuation video from what I posted the other day with the old computer I was using. So if you've not checked that one, check it out and it will show you some upgrades and that type of thing, you know, for an old, say, desktop business type computer. So what I've done is ordered a new PSU and I've ordered a new case for this small office looking computer. So like I said, if you've not watched that one, go back, and in fact I'll link it in the description so you can see it. I managed to bag this one fairly cheap from Amazon, and it's a decent 550 watt Corsair RGB PSU. I've gone for a white colour just because I could, and you know, traditionally I've always gone with black, and I thought, let's have a change. I'm not a big fan of RGB lights, not particularly, I'm pretty old school that way, but it's not really that I was considering. I was considering the power and the attachments this one's got on it, so you know, this one was a really good buy for what I paid for it, which was less than £40. Normally they're around £80 to £90, so absolute bargain on that one. And I've got myself a beast of a case, so obviously the box is bigger than what the actual case is going to be. So we've got MSI here, and this is a Vampiric. It's got RGB lights in it. Again, I'm not a great fan of RGB lights because, well, I don't like them. But again, you know, you can choose to activate the lights or deactivate them, so whatever, you know. So again, this one was from Amazon, and this one was also less than £40, absolute bargain. So I'm going to unopen these now. So I'm also going to make note that if you're looking at building a gaming PC, always make sure when you're buying one, make sure you find out what the power supply, that's the PSU, just find out what the power of them is. A lot of these gaming PCs, and I'm going to say gaming PCs on eBay from dealers, is that they'll ship these so-called gaming PCs with just really bad power supply units, PSUs. They're underpowered and they're not going to last you too long if you're going to upgrade your GPU, graphics card that is. So yeah, make sure that is, and also I can't stress enough, also investigate what generation your processor is, and that's the CPU, or also called the processor. So make sure it's at least a 6th generation, and I think from a very good starting point you want to be looking for like an i5 6500, which is a quad core processor, and it's also got a turbo boost on it, which makes it faster than its stock performance of 3.2 gigahertz, I think it is, and it boosts it to 3.8 gigahertz. Being a quad, that's times 4, so essentially you've got 4 processors operating within one CPU. So the 6500 is a fairly cheap CPU to grab, so I definitely recommend one of those for a starter. So here we go, and this is the PSU which I've just bought, power supply unit that is. And of course, Corsair has been around for a very, very long time. I think these days they mess around with gaming keyboards which light up like Christmas trees, but you know, whatever, each to their own. So yeah, this one is a model CX550F RGB, and yeah, it's got some really good attachments on it. So if you remember from my previous video the other day, I was having issues connecting a different SSD drive. That's SSD means solid state drive. The power supply in that computer didn't have enough connectors, so this is another reason to buy a decent PSU power supply, so you've got all the connectors. So yeah, decent looking PSU. They're standard ATXs are known as. And we got a power, we got a plug in here, and then we got all of these connectors. So all of these connectors are going to connect from the PSU here onto the motherboard. So if you're a kid, don't use one of these. I'm trained. So also, if you're going to make your build look a bit more sexy than just horrible cables running everywhere, I recommend when you buy a power supply, it comes with some nice looking cables. If you've got a glass, tempered glass panel on the side of your case, you know, red and green and blue brown wires everywhere, it's going to look bad. You can hide them away, but they're still going to be exposed to some extent. So, you know, these come with some stylish colours, you know, they look quality as well as Corsair. So yeah, we've got this one for example. This 24 pin here will connect directly onto the motherboard, and the other side will connect onto the PSU. And you know, there's different bits and pieces here which will connect to the motherboard. So this is really useful stuff. A lot of people think that the motherboards on these sort of office type computers, they're proprietary motherboards and they're kind of customized to fit those particular cases they come with. To some extent, so you can do this. I can do it. I know I can. So we'll put it to the test. So another thing when you're buying a case is that take a look at the description and it will tell you what ports it's got on it. For example, this one's got a few USB 3 ports. So you know, buy something decent. Don't just buy, you know, any old junk. Just make sure it's got adequate ports on it for what you want. So you know, this isn't the ideal front for me. I don't think much of this front, to be fair. But you know, it's an MSI, and MSI are known for motherboards, like gaming motherboards. So you know, it's a decent brand to go for. I just don't particularly like the front, but it's not really the point. You know, the point is to prove a point, to show you that you can build a very decent gaming PC on extreme budget without having to go to eBay to buy a load of junk. And this is the MSI Vampiric 010, so it's a quite a classy looking case, and like I said, it's got the panel on there, the tempered glass, which apparently opens up easily, but it seems to be screwed down. So if we look at the top of this case, we got our main power supply here, some sort of reset button. We have got a microphone port. That's a 3.5mm microphone port. We've also got a 3.5mm headphone port, and we got two USB 2 ports and one USB 3 port. So let's take a look. Also got a fan built in, which is the RGB fan. And what else have we got? So on the back of this one, our motherboard will come out of this panel just here, and each one of these slots here are for different pieces of hardware from your motherboard. So graphics card is going to come out of one of these just here, and the power supply on this is gonna sit just here. So that's all I can show you about this case for now. Okay, so let's get this Frankenstein job started with. So first off, take your power out, and there's a little light on your motherboard, and you need to ensure that one is totally gone out. Mine's just gone out, so that's no power. Just leave it a good few seconds before taking anything apart. So first of all, let's just take this nonsense out, this chassis, which comes with these office builds. So first thing I'm gonna do is unattach this hard drive here, which is the solid state drive which my operating system was on. So totally unattached, and these are screwed in, so I've got myself some really good attachment screw heads. So yeah, these are held together generally by 4 screws. And I'll put the screws just to one side in case we need them when we begin the transfusion. Okay, so with that SSD now unattached, the next thing to do is start unplugging the power supply from the motherboard. So just gently take off these cables which attaches to your motherboard. So we've got the 24 mains power from the power supply unit into the motherboard, and this one is always a bit of a tough one to deattach. They're really connected well. So once we have got all of these cables off, we can then unscrew the motherboards from the case and just make sure each one of these is totally unattached. Right, and go very careful because you don't want to break any pins whilst you're doing this. Right, so looks like, and we got one more just there, and there we go. So everything's unattached. So if we take a closer look at this now, you'll see everything's totally unattached. You know, you've got your cables which power the USBs on the fronts of these, and everything is totally unattached. And I've just taken a graphics card out too. With everything unattached now, I am going to start the procedure. So gently start unscrewing the main board, which is the motherboard, some people call it main board. And there's going to be a few screws holding this in place. They need to be very secure. So the good thing is about a transfusion like this, from swapping motherboards and everything else over to another one, is that your CPU with the fan and the heatsink and your RAM, pretty much they don't need to be moved. They can just stay to your motherboard. So it's simpler that way. Yeah, some of these are in very awkward places. So in this case, I'm actually going to have to take out my RAM modules to make a little bit of space to unscrew the motherboard. So take the RAM out for now, and we're just going to put that aside. And now, yeah, that's still a bit of a tight squeeze for that one, which is a bit annoying. And of course, you know, this is just a slow process of making a cheap build, and by no means am I saying this motherboard is anything special, because we all know it isn't. But it's good. It's good enough for now, certainly. It works fine, and I've proven that myself. It's a fairly decent board and processor it's got in this. So this is the screw I'm trying to get out, and as you can see, these little pieces here, which tightens in the RAM, is pushing against it, so I'm going to persevere. Right, so I really can't get to this last screw on the motherboard, so I've just got myself one of these miniature drills, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to try and drill into these holes, which might detach the panel here to make it easier to get to. No, that's not touching it either, so I'm a little bit baffled here where to go with it. So my next attempt is going to be wedging out the case, possibly. Now, I'm not too fussed if this case breaks. I've got no use for it. God, I mean, what a nightmare this is. Right, okie dokes. There we go, so all the screws are unattached and this motherboard is now loose. Right, so gently, and I kind of still, there we go. And here is the motherboard. So this is it, this is the bad boy we've been trying to get out. So if you're new to PC builds, I'm going to tell you now which what's what on here. So underneath this metal thing here, this is the heatsink, and beneath this heatsink in the middle is the CPU, the processor. So what happens is your processor gets hot whilst you're running your computer, and the heatsink acts as like a sink to catch the heat. On top of here, you get a fan on top of the heatsink and processor. The fan just cools it down. And this is it. So this is one gutted little computer case, and all these attachments here are all connected to the old PSU, and I'm guessing this is probably about 150, even 200 watt. So like I said in the beginning of this video, by far, if you're looking at a gaming PC, don't settle for something as bad as this. So here are the parts I'm gonna put into the new case. And if you remember from the other day, I was trying to attach this one to this mains board, but I was out of power options. So hopefully we can put this one, the extra storage, as in fact this one is actually a 2.5 inch hard drive. We can put this into the new build. So there we go. Okie doke. So with everything unplugged to the motherboard and everything ready to go, we need to open up this new MSI case, and this particular model is well, it's got 4 screws in the top, and this is the part we need to open in order to put our new or old hardware into. I've got a M80X sized motherboard, and yeah, this is glass, and yeah, it's a very good price from Amazon. So little inspection of the inside of this thing, and as you can see, motherboard will fit into this space here. So let's check this out. So I've got the motherboard, and you need to put the ports on the back on this side because they will fit through here. So let's take a look at this. Is this gonna fit in? I truly hope it does. And as you can see, we got a massive amount of room now. So let's take a look. 1, 2, and yep, that everything in there looks like it's going to work. Obviously, you need to find align the holes in the motherboard onto the case. So we got 1, 2, that's fine, and yep, that's gonna fit perfectly. So that's good, that's really good. Now the only problem with this motherboard is that these parts have actually got normally got a protector over them, like a shield. Oh, take the dongle out. So there's going to be a slight gap on the back of this, but it's not a major issue. You know, who's going to see the back of your PC, and you know, that don't particularly bother me too much. So first things first, like I said, hold on to all your screws for now when you take this out of your old case, and I'm going to start by just screwing these in. Now this is the awkward hole I was talking about just now with regards to the DIMM slots where your RAM go into. So yeah, that's perfect. So anyone who's got this particular HP Pro, you need to find a case which is a M80X case, or supports M80X. So that's going in place. Go very careful when you're screwing these in, because you don't want to damage the motherboard, and you don't want to damage any of the traces on the motherboard, or you know, you don't want to damage any of the circuits, tiny little minute circuitry on the motherboard. So for those out there who say these motherboards don't fit into cases, don't listen at all. Alright, these likely people have no idea what they're talking about and they're just guessing. So there you go. So this is what we got so far. So as you can see, the motherboard is on there very securely, so that's all looking good. Right, so next up we're gonna fit this new PSU in, the Corsair, and it's not gonna fit in on this side. So what I'm gonna do is open up this other panel on the other side. So just unscrew this, and again, just leave all these screws to one side, don't lose anything. And this panel should now slide off, and there you go. Okie dokes. So this is it, and we got some attachments here. I didn't realise were actually here. So I'll just take these off, and obviously this is the opposite side of the motherboard I've just put in. So take all these ties out and them. And we've got loads of attachments here, and these are where your ports, the USB ports, are attached to your motherboard. Some of these are labelled, it'll say USB on it. This one is likely going to be upside down. Obviously this needs the fan and the lights showing. So put this in obviously so the plug is on the outside. So just let me lower that camera. So and there we go. So we got a nice snug fit here, and you need to align the holes on the PSU with the case, obviously. So let's just take a look what's in this bag. So you've got loads of different bits and pieces here, some cable ties and a little bag of goodies. So just put those out on the floor, and what we need some screws, which is going to hold this in place. Found the match. Is this the one? Yep. So just screw this one firmly into place here. Now, some people might say a white one doesn't look right, but like I said at the beginning of this video, I just wanted to be a little bit different. And that's besides the point. I'm trying to make a cheap build here, and this white Corsair PSU was on offer, so you know. Right, and we're going to need to tie it a bit further down. So yeah, generally you need 4 screws to hold the PSUs in. This one's going in very nice. And remember, they're called ATX. They're all standard size, you know, these gaming type PSUs, power supply units. These loose cables coming from the case itself, just thread these through. So yeah, everything is nice and secure. So what we need to do next is grab these cables, which came with the power supply unit, PSU, and we need to start by putting these into the power supply unit itself before putting the panel back on the side. So let's take a look here. So, and if you take a look in the manual these PSUs come with, it will tell you what goes where. So I'm going to just attach all these. So yeah, by referring to the manual they come with, you can identify which cable here goes where. So this is the main power source for the motherboard, and this one will fit into the motherboard. And this is it. This is the final product, and we've got the tempered glass here, which needs to be screwed on still. And as you can see, this is looking pretty good. The motherboard looks pretty on its own in there, but you know, over time I'll upgrade that motherboard. Processor's fine, but yeah, you know, you get what you pay for, and yeah, I'm pretty happy with this build. Obviously I need to sort out the situation here. You can't see the lights coming through because of this case, so I can just cut that out. Everything's running fine, everything's been tidied up, and you've also got the lights. So a massive far cry from this little case for businesses, offices, to this. So if you liked what you've seen, comment if you've got any questions about building your own gaming PC, and subscribe and like. Thanks for watching.